Hey guys. So it's been a long time since I'm off YouTube, but today I want to make a new video about my experience, after working for almost 9 months for my current company as a data analyst. And yeah, this video is going to come with a lot of bitter realizations and bitter conclusions. So it's a lot of some of my heartfelt feelings. So if you're a college student trying to get a degree, trying to get your first job, and still trying to envision that, getting paid and all that stuff, I strongly suggest you skip this video because it's not going to be a lot of positive energy. It's gonna be a little bitter, it's a little bit cynical. So I suggest any college student just skip this video. But I want to talk about a couple of things about what I realized working as a professional data analyst. And first of all, is that I realized that working as a data analyst is all your college degrees. And I mean, when I was a student at college, I bust my ass for everything. I was working and I was like an undergrad for 4 years and I was a grad student for 2 years. So I spent almost 6 years in the academics. And yeah, I really miss it. I really miss it because I felt challenged. I was improving every day. I was passing tons of exams, tons of homework, assignments and stuff. It's kind of like playing a video game. Sometimes playing a video game, it can be hard because you get killed all the time. But when you finally beat the boss, but you always want to keep getting up and keep beating a boss. That's what academics feels like. Like even though the subject is hard, it can be overwhelming, disheartening at the same time, but you still feel challenged. You still want to improve yourself, right? And then after 4, 6 years, you get your degrees, you get stamped, and you end up and trying to find your job and you bust your ass trying to get your first job. You just like go on the job market and you keep applying maybe hundreds of companies and hoping for some callbacks. And that's what I did. Like I did like 9 months, 10 months ago, I was just applying everywhere, trying to get my first job. And I did get my current job right now. So I'm a data analyst, as I told you guys, but it just like it's not really after almost a year. I guess it's exactly how I expected. Like so basically being in the corporate world, like I'm gonna tell you the truth. You don't really use like the stuff you learn from school. Like it's a lot of corporate stuff. So what I learned from school was a lot of like I had to build data structure. I had to build a lot of like you know algorithms and machine learning stuff, and I ended up not really using those for my current work. Like my current work mostly involves like writing SQL queries, and that's like very very small portion of what I actually do. I would say probably 80% of my work is just it's called data governance. It's just like I read those reports, analytics report, and maybe Excel, maybe PDF, and I read them, and then I just have to basically every week I have to update the info. So it just basically copy and paste, to be honest. So they have the Excel spreadsheet ready. I have to go on a particular website to extract this info, and in our company in the healthcare industry we use EDI, right, which is called Electronic Data Exchange interface. So we exchange the data, and I basically just put this data here, upload the data there, and then read some reports. Oh, our QNX, like our system is like 97.9% intact. Like our financial need is we need maybe $150 million, something like that. It's just like a lot of basic data points that I just copy and paste everywhere, and I feel very underused, to be honest, because like anybody can do this. I mean, seriously, like no offense, like you don't need 6 years of degrees to do that, right? Anybody, any college grad, I mean, any freaking college intern, like right now, I can teach them right now, and they can do this. But that's what you'd be doing most of the time. That's what we'd be doing as a data analyst most of the time. You'll be basically just deal with data stuff. You maneuver the data, but like at least for my company, like it's just 90% I work. The rest of the 10% work is slightly more challenging. It's like I get to write SQL queries. For example, my boss wants to know, oh, from this data, for example, the data from Booz Allen, right? From this data set, this data table, we want to know, like, can you give me like a conclusion of like the most, from different age groups? So basically, you just write a SQL query, right? Like your case when, conditional case query, and then extract them, and then tell your boss, right? I mean, this kind of stuff is slightly more challenging, but it doesn't really take a long time to do, especially with someone my background. Like I have like 6 years of background in data analytics, so it's just like, and sometimes my boss will, when he sets the goal, he expects the deadline. Like when you work in the corporate world, it's very slow. Everything moves at a very very slow pace. Very very slow pace. So whenever I'm giving an assignment and my boss is expecting, oh, I give you a week to do it. And technically, it doesn't even take me a week, right? Like it takes me, if I really put myself into it, it takes me probably 20 minutes at most, right? But, just like, so sometimes in order to kill the time, I just don't do it and I wait until maybe a couple of hours into and before I start doing it. And it just, everything moves so slow in the corporate world. Like my bosses, we were in my time with this company, we have a lot of projects that kind of just went nowhere. We had like a vision. My boss is saying, oh, I want you to do this, so I want you to maybe build a dashboard in Power BI. So, and after I built a dashboard, it went nowhere because nobody has the data to do it. And then for the data, you need to, because I think the US government has to provide it. We have to go through a lot of channels to get the data, and then the entire project just went nowhere. So I basically did a month's worth work for nothing, basically nothing. And I mean, it's good to learn Power BI, but it just feels like it's nothing's really that organized in the corporate world because there's so many channels, like so many laws, so many regulations, so many, and especially if you're everything is kind of like an ecosystem, like our database, we're using someone else, we're using Cognizant's database, and just everything is just very unorganized, very unorganized. And some my boss is saying, oh, so on my smart sheet, my boss is saying, I want you to do this, do this, do this, but ends up went nowhere. And we need to keep getting approved for this, for that, and if we want to expand our business, so we have to like get some contracts approved. And it's just a lot of times being an employee, you're technically a whole day you're not doing anything, you're just staring at a screen and maybe staring at a calendar. And that's one thing I like about working at home is like if I'm not working, I can at least do my own stuff. For example, I can watch YouTube and I can even make this freaking video. And it's just, but the thing is that like it's very hard to see where things are going if you're just like a regular employee, because the company just moves so slow. You are a very small part of a very big system, and what you're doing might indirectly, I mean, the company might not function above you, but what you're doing is very, very small. For example, like to complete the assessment, one of the big assessment, I just have to write one line of SQL query, and my company is telling me, "Oh my God, this is a good job. This is great," but it just I feel very underused. Doesn't back in school, I was like basically helping my professor crack this, crack that. I was like a detective, helping my professor complete this research, a research after research, etc. And you don't do that in the company. You just basically you do data related stuff, but a lot of times it's copy and paste. Even the codes, a lot of queries, a lot of codes, they're copy and paste. And because they're on Stack Overflow, you just a lot of times I feel like the companies are hiring us not because of the things we learn at school, because I guess a lot of times is to understand what they call, it's called legacy code. It's like they have the legacy codes put on the website. A lot of times it's on SharePoint. So I read the legacy code and I have to understand it and then rewrite it and then modify it for the company's taste. It's just it's a lot of it's a lot of like just modifying, and I'm not really learning that many stuff. My SQL they get better, my Power BI they get better, but it just I understand I probably am lucky to have this job, especially during a pandemic. But I would say that it's just it's very disillusioned to learn that, what I'm working right now is very, it's like most of the stuff is like maintenance. It's like trying to keep the status quo for the company instead of building actual stuff, instead of the thing. So I think the school is training us to become builders, but what I'm doing right now is I'm just, like, I'm just helping with the maintenance stuff. It's just very generic, very mundane stuff, and it's killing my soul. Really, it's killing my soul. So like if I compare school akin to maybe playing a video game and then passing through rounds and rounds and rounds to get to the final highlight of your graduation, I would say working every day is kind of like doing laundry. It's just like, what you have no expectation, what's going to happen, but you have to do it because you want it for your paycheck. You want your paycheck so you can pay off your rent, pay off your student loans, pay off your mortgage, wedding, everything. It becomes more of a chore than a hobby. It's not very exciting. It's not very fun. And when you expected it, so this is not what I expected when I started filing application after application, submitting my resume after resume. This is totally not what I realized. So maybe some people like it. I mean, I probably shouldn't complain too much because I still have a paycheck. I know a lot of people lost their job during COVID and probably don't even have a paycheck, but I just want to say this is how I feel in the corporate world. This is my opinion, especially as someone who has, a very nice academic experience. I had great time back. I really miss school, to be honest, especially grad school. I really miss my grad school. I would love to return to it and become a faculty, to be honest. But right now, it's just, this job is like a chore. It's like I'm doing laundry. I go in, I punch in my coins, and then wait for it until the coins comes out every day. Rinse, repeat, and then I get my paycheck. And yeah, I'm not growing. I'm not fulfilled. I'm doing things that basically is kind of like for maintenance, just to keep the company afloat. So yeah, I mean, really generic, really mundane stuff. So yeah, let me know if you think the same way about your job, especially if you're like a data analyst or if you're a software engineer or doing some other programming work. If you feel the same, or is it just my company? Or let me know if you have any opinions regarding 9 to 5 jobs. What do you think? Like, are we supposed to be doing this for the next 30, even 40 years of our lives? And just an epiphany. Maybe it's COVID is getting to me, but I don't know. But this is how I think. So let me know in the comments, or if you like this video, just give it a like. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and then stay safe.